Are you fucking... Okay. Technically, I should just scrap the whole thing because of that. Whatever. So this game is perfect for beginners. Why? Because you can't fail. Notice these ones are in a line, and that's the only ones of that color. So they must be in that line, and nothing else can be. Then notice that there are at least two colors that are already at the bottom. Well, that's not true. It could be here. We don't know. Is there any more information? Well, this is false. Wait. No, that's not true. That is true. That's not true. That is true. Shut up. Let's see if I can figure out what's going on in this puzzle. Huh. Well, because these two colors, okay, this stuff here is in two columns, and this stuff here is only in the same two columns. Nothing else can be in those two columns. So that's something. We don't need to know where they are. We just know where everything else can't be. That really only leaves two spaces for where green could end up. Interesting. And it's all in that column. Knowing that, we can remove these as options for other things, as well as this, because no matter what green it shows up in, that is where it will be. So if it's here or if it's there, it'll both occupy this space. Take out that column, we have this. Now we just gotta figure out the rest of the puzzle, which includes this line. That's pretty much all the information we have right now. So to begin with, pink literally is the only thing that could be in that line, because pink was it was the only pink that remained. Then we have yellow, and yellow has to be in that line, so green cannot. And it also can't be anywhere near the other cat. That has to be the other cat. That blocks these. Now we're getting really close to the wire here. Clearly there is an option for any one of these to work. Just kidding. That's the only option for blue. Blocks these other options. That's the last yellow. Blocks this option. There you go. Okay, so now we're in another puzzle. As you can see on the bottom, oh, forget that. we'll just take out the singles. That's the only single. It indicates this, that, and these two. Brown can only be in this spot, so we'll just double tap that, take out the rest of these, take out the ones next to it, and below. Then we have pink. Can only be here. Take out all these, this, and that one. Now, what do we have? Well, yellow has to be in this line. Nothing else can be in that line. Green has to be in this one because it's the last green available. Kind of obvious. Also, I should mark these, which leaves this blue one. There's only one yellow left. There's only one orange left. There's only one green left. One gray. Is this not copyright infringement on Luna's persona? Like, you don't own that. What is this game? Can I... Well, why would you take me to the... Huh? Okay. I better be careful what I look into. Commercials are bad enough, but at least they're not... Don't tell me this game is actually full of ads on the bottom of the screen that makes it so I can't stream it. You motherfricker. If there is a gambling ad on the bottom of this, I will not stream this game anymore. You have lost a client. Pink is the only one that can be on the top, so every other pink color is just wasted. It's completely useless. No, I can't put anything to block that except for perhaps the comments. That's all I can think of. And that doesn't block it very well. But it might block some of it. That's not enough. Fuck you. Anyway. We know that there has to be something in this line, and it literally can't be anything else. So we know there's that. Then, we also know that there has to be something in this line, so it can't be anything else. We know there has to be something in this line, so there can't be anything else. We know there's something that can't be anything else. We know that there has to be something in this line, can't be anything else. There has to be something here. Fuck me. Well, that's where the pink is. Well, now how do I solve the rest of it? Actually, valid question. How do you solve the rest of this? Because, well, actually... So like I said, it's impossible to fail this game. Would you rather find Piggy? It's the same game. Exactly the same game. Okay, the brown shows us that there cannot be anything in that column. Interesting. There can also not be anything next to those spaces. Just at all. Now, this one looks like one we have to actually really put some effort into. So, what do we have? Well, all three of these colors, the blue, the pink, and the brown, all take up spaces within the first three layers on that side. So it cannot be pink, green, or gray. We know that much. And it's between literally everywhere on where pink can be, or rouge, or whatever you call that. I don't know what, maroon? I don't know. Then you have to think of, well, there's purple and green. And there's also other stuff, and it doesn't really have any firm limit on any of the other stuff, so it's like I can't figure out that. But we know that pink, limited to this row or column, can't be here, and it can't be there, and it can't be there. So then we know green is left with one space that it can use, which blocks up the rest of this, which blocks up the rest of this, blocks this entire set, and also blocks all this up here. So that's something. Also blocks all of this. Forces that one. Cool. Forces this. And now we know that much about the puzzle. Suddenly, a lot more. And we know gray has to be in this row, which also blocks off these spaces. We know that purple has to be here. That blocks off one of gray. This has to be here. The pink, or skin color. So these are off limits. Pink has to be here. Green has nowhere else to go. Orange has to be in here. Block that. pink. If you understand the rules, you can figure out it's literally impossible to get it wrong. Must I find the piggy? It's the same game. It's just smaller. This game is so reproducible, apparently. Is this any better? You know what? I'm gonna find out. Let's find out if there's a duck version. We'll try to find out if one of these has Sudoku Quest. What the fuck? Let's try some Sudoku games, see if they're any good. Or whatever. I doubt. I don't like math Sudoku. We're done. Hard. 57% of players. Okay, this line obviously has to be that color. This line has to be that pink. And that green, it could be an either one of the two lines. We don't know. There's a lot of brown. There's only this for skin color. There's only this for that. These are blocked by that color. These are blocked by this color. These are blocked by that color. There are only so many options. But it's not set in stone yet. Blue looks like it would have to be literally anywhere. The only thing is, okay, listen. Brown and blue are the only ones that can be in the bottom. So it can't be here. That's obvious. So then, if it's gonna be down there, it's most likely to be brown on that side because they can't be next to each other. So it's gonna be one of brown, therefore I can assume the entirety of brown is also not used. Fair assumption. Now we consider where purple can be and everything else. Well, if you consider blue, that's obvious, and that blocks off all of this. If you consider where brown can be, that blocks this, forces this. If you consider the fact that purple and orange both need to have somewhere, this cannot be the case, so therefore it has to be here. Then, if you consider where purple has to be, it cannot be here or there for those. So we will consider this to be obvious. This is the only one in that row. This is the only one in that row. That's the only one in that row. That's the only place remaining in the blue. Did you follow along with that? I mean, that technically sex sells. This isn't exactly explicit or anything. This one's a little closer, but it's still bikini junk. It's a freaking bullshit. I'm gonna kill you. Go away. Get the fuck out of here. You damn bastard. Trying to ruin my goddamn channel. Swear to God. All that information is known from the get-go. Gray has to be in this column. Cool. Considering that green and pink can only be in those, I assume this is not an option. Blue has to be somewhere. Don't know where. This one feels tricky. Let's think about it. Yep, definitely tricky. If it was here, that would mean the blue would have to be here, which blocks off all except for this column for green. And follow my logic here. By project of elimination, if this was here and it blocked off all of the blue, it would cause this one to go, and that would trigger the green. The green would then go from there up, which would block all of the other green. This one blocks this green. This one blocks these two. And that's literally all of that color blocked, meaning impossible. So that can't be the case. It is not here. Cool. So where could it be? Well, I'm not sure. Let's continue on some logic paths. So, similarly, it would make the most sense if it was here, for example. This is actually really hard. However, in order to be anywhere in the row, orange is the only one left with positions. So that gives us a little more information. But it's not super helpful. Now knowing that gray has to have something in that column is really tight. Consider that if you put a place here, and then that blocks all of the bottom, forces blue, green here, forces orange here, pink would have to go there, blue could be in the bottom, and that could be the truth. What happens if we go the other way around? Oh wait, hold on. Continue on that path. Starting with here, it bounces up to here, and then there. All of these are considered, and that forces green here. With this one here, it already takes that column, therefore that's a false. Therefore, it cannot be here. Good logic. Okay. And then that one causes that. Now we consider what can happen with those. And it seems like it would be obvious that it could be either way. But let's just see. Oh, this is dangerous. So if we take this one here, then it could be over here. That's fine. It blocks these two, forces them to be in this column and that column. And that seems to be correct. Where it has to be here and there, because that's the only one that can remain. For that column. But equally, what if instead it's here? That would block this block and that block. Wait. If it's here, that blocks the rest of green, and therefore it would have to take this. And up there, if these two are taking those spaces, then these spaces would be blocked, and so for it cannot be this space. That means the only one left is that one. The only one left is this one. The only one left is this one. The only one left is that one. I'm not a true master. It's just a little bit of foresight or whatever. Considering where these could possibly be, I cannot safely say anything. Yet. We'll get started. Yellow has to be somewhere, and it has to be somewhere in those two positions. We don't know where, but we don't need to know where. Green has to be there, forces brown here. Pink cannot be where green is. That blocks off the other yellow. Orange. This cannot be. Too freaking easy. Okay, this column is taken. We consider these two colors to be the only ones in the bottom. So that's where they are, and nothing else can be there. We consider gray and orange to be the only ones on the top, so they can only be there, forcing blue here. Winky face emoji. Pink has to take this row, so we're going to remove all those possibilities. would say to be careful, you might as well remove that, but I don't know really just yet. And also, this cannot be anything but orange, so there you go. Green has to be in that row. In fact, green almost definitely has to be here. Can't really explain why. But generally, green is the only thing that can be in the top. So all of this is false. Am I right? Yeah, it's the only thing that can be in that row. So it can't be anywhere else where the green could be. This is extremely easy puzzle. Blue cannot be blocking the pink, so that takes care of that. That's taken. The only one in that column is orange. The only one in that column is green, as I predicted. If a piece were to be here, well, okay, to begin with, can't be there, so it has to be here. It has to be here. And by rule of Sudoku, it has to be here. So that blocks off the rest of these. It has to be there. These are already taken. And now we're stuck with these ones. And the last one is U, which blocks that, which blocks that. And the entire puzzle was... Now, here's the question. Would I get a better score if I were to not consider doing it in order, and in fact, do it based off of pure information? So, like, using less notation would give me more information? Credit? Like, more credit for getting it done? Yeah. Okay, that's a lot of just instantaneous information. Pretty sound. Right, yellow has to be in that side because there's nothing else that can be in that column. And it also has to be here, specifically, because there's nothing in that row. There is nothing in... blah, blah, blah. The pink here. Remainder. Too easy. This puzzle seems crazy. Brown and green both share those two columns. Nothing else can be in those columns to start with. We don't know which ones, but we know that's the only one of those. Then brown and pink are in those two columns, and they can't be anywhere else. Pink and orange are in those two columns, so they can't be anything else. Orange, and you get the idea. Thus, we have solved a lot of the puzzle, as well as yep. Now what? How do we finish the puzzle? Good, valid questions deserve decent answers. Okay, let's do some deductive reasoning. Fuck, I don't know. Brown or green? The thing is, it almost feels like a complete binary situation where it can only be one of two scenarios. But that's not true. What if it's crazy? Let's see. If it's in this one of these two blocks, then that leaves this one. Forcing this one, 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 forcing that one. Did that work? My brain turned off. Try that again, please. If it's in this column, it forces this one. Forces that one. Forces this one, forces that one. Forces this one, forces that one, forces this one, forces this one. If it's the other way around, this one forces this one, which forces this one. Now, if it were to be that, you can't put a pink anywhere, because this is blocked and that is blocked for being beside. So therefore it cannot be that. And therefore, because it cannot be here, we know that it has to be something else. If it cannot be there, then it has to be here, which blocks this and that and that. And that one. Totally, completely impossible to get wrong. It doesn't matter how big the puzzle is, don't be intimidated. The best thing that I will ever tell you is that you cannot false claim something if you drag your finger. Literally impossible to do. This is the only pink that remains. This is the only gray that remains. This is the only... No, 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 no. Yellow has to be somewhere up there. We don't know where. Interesting. This is blocked by all the blue. So that's that. We don't know which one, and it doesn't matter. We know the column or row it is in. It's either yellow or green. It would seem like there is no other place but green to be here. Also, that's blocked. What the fuck? You literally need something in this row or column, so it cannot be anything but this. And you also can't have one there. So that means this forces that. Forces this. Blue has to be here. Takes away those. Again, impossible to get wrong. Okay, pink has to be here, or skin color. Green has to be there. That's yellow. Orange has to be down there, so that doesn't help us. We already know that. Curious. These... Okay, at bare minimum, pink, skin color, and brown are limited to those free sections. So that means green cannot be one of those. Blue also cannot be one of those. Green must be this. Pink has to be here. Impossible to get wrong. Sudoku, on the other hand, takes a lot more mental effort to get right instead of this, which feels like it doesn't. I haven't been stumped yet, so that's something. Okay, anything specific to note? No. Oh wait, there's that. Put those in, why don't you? Okay, so green has to be here. That forces this one. Forces that one. Pink has to be in that row. Also, skin color was blocking pink. Then if you... The only one in this column. The only one in this column. The only purple. The only pink. Notice there hasn't been any ads in a minute. Button. Gray and green are both in this yellow. Yeah, we don't need to know where gray and green are. We know they're in that set, so they can't be anywhere else. This one has to be here. Blue has to be there. The only thing that can be on the top is green. If it's here, it blocks all potential places for green, so it can't be there. Forces this to be here. Or, I mean, not there. Forces this to be here. As you can see, there was never an option. They call it easy, they call it hard, they call it your mom's face. But really, there's no options here. We've done something like this before. Well, green and blue are the only ones on the bottom 2 rows. So all the rest of the potentials for green and blue are useless. Yellow can only be in... Yellow is the only thing that can be in the 3rd row, so these top ones are useless. If it's the pink, it has to be the brown. So if it's the pink, it has to be the brown. This one would be here. The blue would be here. So let's just say it would be starting with this one. That blocks off all the brown, including this, so it would have to be here. I think. Or be very limited. But it had to be up there, meaning it can't be here. Yeah, those two are the ones that are at the top. So, like, if it's here, for example, it could be here, technically. And then the blue could be any of those. We don't know which one. Oh, wait. Considering the possibilities for yellow and light blue, if you have it here, it blocks both of those positions. But that's not important. Blue still has other places it could go. I was thinking about an L maneuver where this one doesn't block that, and the other one doesn't block this, and it would block, so pink would have to be here, blue could be here. If blue was there, that means brown has to be down, and this would have to be here. This would be here. It seems like that has to be how it goes, but let's see. If it's, well, it's the problem is I could work with mistakes or I could be smart about it. I'd rather be smart. So if it's here, it blocks this one. And this doesn't really tell me anything else about the rest of the puzzle. Oddly enough. Huh. There's like triples the whole way around. With one exception. The quad. This one blocks 4 different things. Okay, let's consider it again. If it's here, that means blue would have to take the only other space that could be in that column. And then, that considered, it would take this, that would take that, this would take this, and then this would have to be here. Oh boy, my brain failing. Like this, it feels similar to the other puzzles that we've done, but it feels like there's like whatever else. Okay, consider what happens if we put it here. Right? That blocks it, so it has to be the pink here. This has to be here. And then oh, what? the hell? Ah! I hate myself. I really want to put it in the middle because that feels the most right. But it doesn't inform me anything else. Okay. Consider if I put it here. That blocks literally everything that the pink could take. So it can't be there. We know that much. So that's good. And then what? So if I put it here, it blocks these two and this one. That forces the blue to be here because the pink would also be here. That blocks all that top row. So if it's here, the pink is here, the blue is there, this blue is here, brown has to be there, that has to be here, but I'm gonna go with it. Yeah. Oh, brown has to be in one of those that spaces. Yeah. And then there you go. I don't know. It was like a 1 in 2 chance, really, with that. Just touch and go for a moment there. Okay, with all of that initial obviousness out of the way, we have gray in one position. What did I just... did I just erase something that I need to keep? I don't know. Orange! Orange has to be there so it blocks this. Pink has to be in that row, so it can't be here. It also has to be in the column, so it has to be there. Too easy. Green literally can't block the only other green. Dictated. Yay. Oh look. The IQ has to be amazing. So, considering the fact that this cannot be that because it's taken by the blue, can't be this because it's taken by taken by that. So then we have those ones. Now we have to consider the rest of the puzzle. Well, if it's a direct staircase, that would be absolute silliness, but it doesn't seem like it. Well, obviously, it can't be a direct staircase because they can't be next to each other. So, don't think in those terms. Ever. Per color, per box, per column, and row. That's technically 4 rules. Considering where it possibly could be with the pink, you know that it's going to be touching this block no matter where it is. It's also going to be touching this block no matter where it is. Yeah. If it's here, it touches those two. If it's here, it touches those two. If it's there, it touches those two. So it cannot be that those are those. That's the next most obvious thing. Now for the rest. Well, in order to keep pink from touching brown, it has to be like this and that, or this, and then one of these two. But that means that it can't be, well, it also could be here and this. And then green has all the rest of the column here that it could be. It's kind of unsatisfactory. But if you think in those terms, it might save you. Considering what happens if I put it here, it could be here or here. If it is, it definitely blocks off a lot of the bottom, as well as this would block off that green would have to, oh. If it was there, it means this would have to be here. Now, if it is that, consider where you can put orange. Well, you can't put it here because it's blocked by this one. You can't put it here because it's blocked by this one. And you can't put it here, here, or here because they are all blocked by this one. So it foremost cannot be that scenario. That leaves pink with only one more possibility. Why did I block this one? My brain is stumped. Hold on. Give me a second. What? So if it is here, that mean orange would possibly have to be here? Which means pink and green would have to be here and there. I guess they could be. Because they can't be there. Right, because if this one would be here, it would block off literally everything except for that one, which would force orange to be in the bottom, and then nothing else works. So it cannot be there. So it has to be that it's this and that, I think. But then which of the other two would it be? Not sure. Yeah, kind of obvious that that's where those were. To me, at least. Then we know this one, and it can't be that. And we know this one has to be that. And we know this, and that, and that. So that's a lot. Now we just have to solve for the rest of it. Well, they can't be next to each other. That blocks off this, so it has to be this, that one, and that one. The praise for being considered smart doesn't feel valid in this game. It feels too obvious. Especially when you don't have to press each button. It's such a good game that way. I love it. Okay, after all of the obviousness out of the way, we're stuck with this. Leaves us with blue. Those two colors must be in that. One of them has to be in there. Let's finish that off. That's the last purple. That's the last of these. And now what do we have left? I forgot the cat blocked that. Oops. Whoopsies. Final yellow. Final this, final that. Well, okay, technically green has to be in those two columns, and so does pink, meaning this can't be, and this also cannot be. Forces purple, blocks these, forces this, blocks those. Forces it to be one of those, we don't know which one. How about all of this information for you? Yeah, that's also obvious. Cool. Now what? Well, considering that blue and pink are the only ones that can be in the last three and whatever those columns, nothing else matters about blue. So that makes it kind of obvious. And it has to be in the top because blue literally can't be anything else. Blue's a basic patch. Then you consider where blue has to be, and it has to be one of those two. Pink is stuck in that column, so it cannot be this one. Blue is stuck here. But that tells us nothing about the rest, except for this cannot be anywhere else except for in that column. It's the only one that can be in that column. Also, this was already blocked. Green has to be there. That blocks this one. This has to be there. That blocks all of these. Pink has to be here. Green has to be there. It blocks this. Tell me if you've seen this before, but anything in these two columns has to be those two colors. Then you consider, well, that can only be there. That can only be in this column. That forces this one. Wow. Suddenly, tons of information. This one, obvious. This one, obvious. This one, obvious. Obvious. Did you get it in that much time? If you notice these colors, that column is stuck. And if you notice this, then that one is stuck. That one's stuck. Blocks all of these. That one's there. That one's remaining. All of this. This information and that. Tons of information all of a sudden. Make sure you get it all. Good catch. Bitch! Shut up. You beat 93% of players. You showed a perfect performance. That's not perfect. I had a mistake. Shut the fuck up. Compliments me. I'm like I'm backhanding you. No, I'm punching you in your nuts. Don't compliment me when I fail. That's fucking bullshit. What is this puzzle shell? Well, gray has to be in this. Blue. Obvious. Impossible to miss. Yay. Shut your IQ mouth. Get all the obvious stuff out of the way. Now, what do we have left? Well, I don't know. There seems to be a problem here. Okay, we actually have to use our brains for a second. Wow. Pink can only be is the only thing that can be in that row up here. So that means these are false. Yay, I understood that. Then we have gray and green, which are the only ones that can be in that column. That doesn't help anything. Green is the only one that can be in the bottom, so that blocks these ones. They are false. Blue is the only one that can be in that column, or row. These are all false. Gray is the only one that can be in that column. Something is false. The fuck? Conclusion. The fuck? I don't have any blue. Reevaluating. The fuck? There's literally nowhere else for blue to go. Gray. Sack of shit. Thanks. The fuck? Had you? Not only can I see the choices that I have to make, but also the choices that I have made and what absolutely the hell. These puzzles. What the hell? What are they thinking? When they made these puzzles. Have I seen this puzzle before already? Yes! I think. Considering where pink can go. Green. Does it not seem obvious from here? IQ. Bullshit. Did you see all of that? Brown must be in the side. Now what, smart guy? We need to do some thinking. Brown must be in the side. Huh. Oh. Well, that makes it a little more obvious. Ah. It would seem that green must be here. Forces this one. The only one that can be in this row, column. Both. Green, purple. Was there any doubt? I'm not a kid. You don't have to hype me up. Now what? Middle. Impossible. Green can only be in this column. Predicted. What hit you last night? Predicted. Shut up. Was that obvious to you? Gray and brown, both are on the top, 2 corners. Nowhere else. Pink cannot be there. Pink is the only one that can be in the side, so therefore it cannot be inside. Green is extremely limited. 1 green would block yellow. 1 green would not block yellow. Yellow is stuck in this, so therefore no one else can be. We don't know which one, and it doesn't matter. If it's yellow, it can't also be these. It cannot be both gray and pink and yellow and brown. If it's gray, it definitely cannot be brown. No matter which one gray picks. Do you have the answer yet? I am still stumped. Sun is shining in the sky. Consider here. Consider here. Wait, there is no one else who can be in that column except for blue. Remove all else of blue. There is no one else who can be in that column except for brown. There is no one else who can be in that column except for green. Ah. There is no one else who can be in that column except for yellow. No one else can be in that column except for gray. Did you use that method to solve that puzzle? No one else can be in this column except for blue. Ah, the classic pie. Oh no, I'm running out of power on my phone. That sucks. Can I solve this before I run out of power? Oh shit. I better charge it now. This is not advisable, but I'm doing it anyway. Oh, duh. There, there. I am stuck. Are you stuck? Well, in order for yellow to have any position, it cannot be next to brown, so therefore it cannot be there. Green has to be here. Pink has to be there. Did you solve it that easily? Amazing. I have to charge my phone. Goodbye.